Right, the Eswatini Revenue Service has surpassed its Net Promoter Score target of 55, achieving 76.24 already this year. The Net Promoter Score, according to the service, is a crucial tool for measuring as well as enhancing customer experience. Also, Ndlangamandla, our journalist in business, sits down with Ricardo Kruger, the Director of Client Services, as they unpack the Net Promoter Score and how it helps the service to deliver excellent customer service. Let's take a listen.
Ricardo, welcome to Eswatini Revenue Service Market View. We understand that you achieved an outstanding 76.24 on the Net Promoter Score. Congratulations. In our conversation today, I want us to first start by defining what the Net Promoter Score is and why the service decided to use it.
Okay, thank you very much. Net Promoter Score is actually a system that helps us to measure how our service efforts are actually going. You'll know that there's many ways of actually doing it. You could just get a score which you average over time, or you could use the Net Promoter Score, which is a globally used system. Now, what the Net Promoter Score does is that it says that for every interaction that you have with every client, you need to provide the kind of service that will make that person so impressed or so happy with the service that they go out there and actively sell you and actively share with other people that your service is very good. And that is why we actually adopted this and which is why many organizations actually adopt this system, because it is a better measure, if I may call it that, or it's a better way, or it basically gives you a little bit more direction to say it's not just about providing average service, but it's about providing service that at the end of the day is going to turn that client into one of your promoters. So maybe just to explain a little bit more on how it actually works. So what it says is that for every client that comes for service, when they leave, they'll fall into either of three categories. You'll either service them so well that they'll be promoters, meaning that they'll go out there and actively tell friends, relatives, and everyone else that they meet up with that the service is good, and therefore actively promoting you. Or there's the inverse, whereby they could have had such bad service that they go out there and they actively share with everyone that your service is horrible and that people should not come and interact with you. And we think, and that's basically the other side of it. And then there's the third type, which are those that your service, whether it was good or bad, when they leave your premises, to them, it doesn't matter. They just forget about that interaction. And we refer to those as passives. So we are saying that it's either someone will be a promoter or will go and actively tell people not to come to you, or they'll be a passive. Now, what we are saying is that we want everyone that we serve must leave here, and they must leave and go and share with other people that your service is good. So that in essence, that is how the Net Promoter Score actually works.
For someone who is taking an interest in the Net Promoter Score, would you please explain to them how it works?
So at the moment, whenever you come to the ERS, whether it's at the border post or you come to any of our service centers or through our contact center, we will send an SMS where we thank you for having engaged with us, and then we ask you to rate the service. Now, how you rate the service is that you dial *4050#, and then it takes you into the survey. So it's an online, it's basically, we call it USSD, but you do it on your cell phone. And it's just going to ask you two questions. The first question is that how likely are you to recommend the service that you've just gotten? Now, the score is either 1 up to 10. So you state how likely, where 10 is most likely and 1 is least likely. Then the second question is that how can we then improve on the service going forward? So at the moment, that is what we have, but we are working on extending it to other platforms. We're currently in the process of developing a mobile app where you'll be able to actually go in and provide us that feedback, or the survey that we'll put on the mobile app will also be available on our website. We're hoping that by December, January, thereabout, it should already be available. So we're just trying to explore, other options where you could, every time you get a service, you can actually go in and say, okay, this service here was either so horrible that I'm least likely to recommend it, or it was so good that I'm most likely to recommend it, or to me it was neither here nor there, which is thing here. So for the time being, it's by you dialing *4050 hash, and then, but it only works for MTN numbers for now. But like I say, that we are looking at extending it to other platforms.
You are speaking about a USSD code, so that means there are no costs that are incurred by your clients.
So no, there are no charges. At the end of the day, this is the ERS wanting you to provide us service. I mean, to provide us feedback. Reason being that we want to use that feedback to continuously improve and see where we can improve in our service. So it wouldn't be right for us to then charge you for that. So the ERS actually bears the cost of you providing us that feedback. So it's free.
It is evident, Ricardo, that the Net Promoter Score is doing so well. What has contributed to these improvements?
ERS began this journey of customer service back in 2012. In fact, I'd say from 2011 when we first started. But for us to actively push towards improving our service started in 2012, where we initially made it a project, and then steady but surely started rolling out a number of programs that looked at improving service and the likes. Now, service is very much a culture thing, so we had to work on the culture from that time. And also just, at the time, getting people to appreciate taxes now being managed by a structure that is outside of government. There's a lot that we needed to work on more from the structure and systems and processes point of view. Now, naturally, that is not going to turn around in a short space of time. So I would actually attribute it to perseverance on the part of the ERS, perseverance, training our officers, making them appreciate why we need to be customer centered, that as much as we are a law enforcement agency, still we are dealing with human beings. And our role in the whole mechanism is to provide service, is to facilitate more than anything. So once we got people to understand and appreciate that, and also just positioning ourselves, like I say, that it's not going to happen overnight. It had to be a journey that we actually take. And steady but surely, each and every one of everyone who's in the ERS got to appreciate that we need to be a service-oriented organization. To the point that we finally decided, even the name authority, as you know, that we started off as authority, even the name was no longer, we couldn't identify with it anymore because the culture had now changed. The thinking of ERS staff from management all the way down had now changed such that it came from the organization, from the people in the organization to say, maybe let's change from being authority to being now service. So that to us spoke that we are now starting to feel and appreciate why we need to be service. And it's once we embarked on that change, changing to service and stepping up even our activities around ensuring that we are service, that we started seeing a turnaround. Steady but surely, we started seeing improvements in the numbers. But in 2022, I would say was our turning point where all of a sudden the Net Promoter Score just started shooting up. And we could tell even from the feedback from our clients, they were actually now sharing an appreciation of the service that they are getting at various touch points in the organization. So I'd say that was it. It was just perseverance, us sticking to the vision that we had to be service-oriented, never giving up, and just continuing to be innovative and to be agile in pushing that agenda, that we were able to finally turn everything around and start recording the kind of scores that we're recording now and getting the appreciation. Because it's not just about the score only, but it's with the clients. You can actually sense that they are appreciating that the ERS is genuinely positioning itself to be of service rather than chasing after the revenue.
There's that 23.76 that is still outstanding? What are some of the challenges or concerns that people are raising that you feel like you still need to work on?
We get a variety of issues that clients actually face. One that really stands out is that the ERS has embarked on a digitalization agenda where quite a lot of our services are now available online. Now, for some of our clients, you find that that is quite a bit of a change for them. They need some hand holding. Some of them find themselves maybe lagging behind in that regard. Or sometimes you find that even the systems themselves, maybe network issues. So systems are one area where we often get feedback that, clients need a little bit more support or they need a little bit more hand holding and assistance with adjusting to the systems that we've introduced. Another one that we sometimes do face is where you find um, maybe the staff that we have on the ground are not enough to handle. As one of the things that we've noted ever since we improved on our customer service is voluntary compliance has actually significantly improved, meaning that more and more people who previously were not interacting with the ERS are now wanting to interact with us, only to find that maybe the stuff that we have on the ground or the resources that we have on the ground are not really enough to handle the increased demand. So some of them are actually going to then express that frustration to say, you know what, I was expecting to be here for 5 minutes, but I've now had to spend 10 minutes. Another one was, you're aware that we recently took over receipting of a payment for licenses and the likes, which is additional services on our end, and yet we are delivering that service with the same resources that we had. So even there, you find some of the clients in some of the stations find that because of the queues and the amount of time that they're having to spend, some of them are actually going to express that if only you can actually improve on that. So I'd say those are the two areas that are causing quite a bit of frustration. It's the system changes. Some of them, the rate at which they're adapting to that is a bit slow, as well as maybe the queuing time because of the increased voluntary compliance, as well as the number of services that we've taken on.
It's evident, Ricardo, that moving from an authority to being a service is really bearing good fruits, especially because the feedback that you are receiving on Net Promoter Score is from the clients themselves. It's been a pleasure. Wishing you the best as you continue to change the landscape, especially for your clients.
Our business journalist Nelson Dlangamandla chopping it up with Ricardo Kruger on ERS's surpassing of their NPS. Let's go for a net break. Sonny Lesbia is in studio already, ready to decipher today's market movements.